Well, 40 minutes of this first National League One tie to go. Anthony Farrell will have had to make another one of his half-time team talks. That's made a huge difference in the last 2 weeks. Halifax trailing 6 points to 4 against Hull Kingston Rovers. And it looks like they've may have made a change at half-time. Tuilang is off. Jason Bolts is back on, although I think that might have taken place perhaps just before half-time. But Halifax with a lot to do and struggling, of course, because they've lost the first 2 choice centres in James Bunyan and Alan Adcroft. The ball will go down for a knock-on. Still no Chris Morley. And Anthony Blackwood may have been a handy man to have at centre, big, strong and powerful, but resting the bumps and bruises. Andy Hobson, about 4 weeks off according to reports. Andy Spink and Jamie Bloom taking over the centre position, and Spink pumping the legs despite the attention of 3. Black brings Bloom on the inside. Bloom can't evade the tacklers that wait. Hugh and Fletcher. Wisner to Jody Sharif. Sharif loses the ball. I thought he'd managed to keep hold of it at first, but then it just popped out, and that is that's been Halifax's downfall in the first half, with too much possession spilt. And indeed on Friday night and last Sunday in the first half. So Rovers get position back immediately, and Fletcher takes it up to the 40-metre line. Old stock. Tackled by Black and Wisner, the 2 pivotal men for Halifax, who Rovers are keeping a close eye on so far in this game, not allowing them any freedom. Webster. The ball off inside to Blanchard. Last tackle. Webster already signalling that the kick's coming. Fisher tries to put pressure on. There's a shout from Haley. Gibson left him to it. Rose up to take it magnificently. Bloom runs against the man with a back turn and makes good yards for Halifax and wins a penalty. Well, Andy Raleigh can probably feel unduly done by there. Bloom actually got up. Raleigh touched him. Bloom went back down on the knee. Referee said there was a penalty. Halifax will be grateful of everything they can get, considering the possession that they're actually giving to the Robins. The second half already begun the same way. The Sharifi losing the ball. Jason Bolts up to the 40. Larder into strong defence from Andy Raleigh and Macaliah's Hugh just inside the 40. Lawford bringing Sharif on the inside. Sharif clattered with a huge hit from Hugh, and feeling the effects of it as well. Back to his feet, but very shaky. Oh, that looked tight. Black. Well, it was supposed to be a flat ball, and the only thing was flat on the floor, and LKR get possession again after a real mix-up there in the Halifax ranks. There was a dummy runner and a long pass that got nowhere near its intended target. And Blanchard tries to split the Halifax defence. Halifax have Birchall ready to come back on as Jody Sharif's quickly recovered and straight into Macaliah's Hugh. Webster gets it away to Fletcher. Fletcher able to hold men off, and then Fletcher is put down on the 20. Halifax struggling with the tackles. Phil Hasty gives it to Fletcher. Fletcher to Ellis. Shouts a forward pass. And Ellis put down 8 metres away on the last tackle. Webster orchestrating his Will. Hasty's gone for the glory. The ball bobbling about, and it's still not cleared over the dead ball line. Well, the kick went the wrong way off the boot, and Halifax have put themselves under pressure again. Jody Sharif brushing away the tension from the Halifax physio. Well, it was a thunderous tackle, and it certainly left its mark on the young prop as Byron Ford tries to go around James Ailey as Hull KR pour forward again. And this time it's Hull KR that have got the penalty, and it's only the second one of this game. And Hull KR want to put the pressure on, and Ellis will put the ball into touch. Holdstock into Wisner, and Sharif then gets the ball away. Hastie knocks it forward with a fingertip. Wisner out quickly, but Hastie had already made the mistake, so a let off for Halifax there. Glorious chance for Rovers to try and push home the advantage, but the mistake again. Well, it might be down to a bit of nerves, but nerves taking part on the first game of a new season. Must be something pretty new, as Sharif finally succumbs to that knock from Macaulay Azul to be replaced by Birchill. It was a thunderous tackle. Lawford to Spink, that wasn't the best of passes. Andy Spink back to his feet. Fisher from acting half, and I'm not sure they were stood square at the play the ball then. Fisher playing for the penalty. Jason Bolts will look for the gap down the middle and not find it, as Blanchard's all over him. Birchill off the short ball and straight into the defence there. Halifax struggling to make halfway again. Okay, man laid there on the field as Wisner still unable to carve an opening in this Rovers defence. Lawford drills it down on the floor, but Rovers have Jonathan Steele on that far side to pick it up. There was a man with pace, but Gibson makes the chase and brings the winger down 10 metres away in front of the post. Eparte was back inside. Oh, that was Ford. This is Kane Eparte. Halifax struggling to make tackles downstairs. Andy Raleigh driving the ball forward and pushing men back. Spink finally gets hold of the legs. Only can't go nowhere without the legs, but Rovers are back up to the 40. And Halifax seemingly bunched a little bit in the middle of the field. Webster with the kick. Haley looked for the pass inside to Gibson then and thought better of it. Decided to run the ball back. Managed to keep hold of it somehow. Looked as though it was going to squeeze out as Bloom runs across the Rovers defence. Fisher from acting half, making yards for Halifax up towards halfway. And the knock-on being given away. And Ben Fisher giving the penalty away. I think he's saying there that the ball was stripped and just pushing the man out of the way. Well, Rovers once again on the attack, and I think a sign of frustration there from Ben Fisher. Not a lot going right for Halifax so far in this game, and now they have to defend again as the Robins pour forward with Azul on the step, trying to push Larder out of the way, but he stands his ground, and Birchill cuts down the big replacement. Hastie gets the ball to Raleigh, and Raleigh put down under the post to shouts a forward pass. Halifax, well, defended well there on Beauville as he went for the line. Halifax defenders hitting him with such an impact. As soon as the ball got there, well-timed tackle. But Halifax a long way from the goal at the other end of the field. Corcoran steps inside one, but Beauville following up to bring the second rower down. Birchill charging in, but Hull KR meeting Halifax halfway as they try to take the ball forward. Here goes Fisher again, and he takes it up to the 40. Lawford, ball out wide. Still no reward for Halifax's endeavour as Hull KR stay tight in defence. Lawford chips over the top. Now the chase is on, and Black could be the first one there. It's play on all as Andy Spink has to do his drop on it, and the bounce favours Hull KR. Rolling away from Spink as Rovers supporters shout for the offside against Halifax, as you will not be allowed to get into his stride as Wiesner, and Fisher moving quickly. Beauville bouncing off Birchill straight to the ground. Bolts to finish him off. Hasty, man to watch with the handoff. Defence following him across. Back to Webster. It's come off Halifax hand. Birchill gathers it for Halifax. Well, that saved bringing the ball back 30 metres anyway with the intervention of the Halifax hand as Corcoran shows the dummy. The defence moving in quickly for Hull Kingston Rovers. Wiesner, Bloom through one tackle. Wants to get up and play the ball quickly. Fisher goes from acting out and pops it up to Black. Black out to Birchill. Birchill clattered by Andy Raleigh. Gets up, plays the ball, and goes back down on his feet as Lawford tries to find a gap in that seemingly watertight Hull KR defence so far. Fisher chips over the top to the corner. Who's the first to the ball? Touch judge's flag on the far side. The scrum will form on the 10-metre line. In it, so ball finding touch. Rovers with possession again. Halifax with all of the defensive backline sucked in. Ben Black seems to have moved out to a wing position. Oldstock quickly mobbed by three Halifax defenders on the 20. Rovers shout for the penalty, and Oldstock is suffering from that three-man tackle. Neil Harmon back on for Rovers, gang tackled again. Pat Wiesner a yard offside then. No case to answer for the loose forward, set off out of the blocks. And immediately Halifax are back under pressure. Eparte running the ball forward, tackled on the 20. Still Halifax 4, Hull Kingston Rovers 6. This game tight as a drum. Hasty almost through. Oldstock will leave the field to be replaced by Dwayne Barker. Webster, good ball out to Raleigh. No David Tangata-Toa today for Hull Kingston Rovers, and no Michael Smith, their biggest signing in recent years. After one pre-season friendly for St Helens, said he wouldn't move over to Saints. Andy Spink gives Rovers the advantage once again as he goes for the intercept. Just a touch to the fingers is enough to give Rovers the ball at the scrum, and another chance to attack the Halifax line, which succumbed under the second set of 6 to that try in the first half. Will it be the same in the second half? Webster, ball out wide to Wildbort, and Wildbort is finally wrestled to the ground by 3. And Rovers stacking men on this side. Eparte falling before he could get really into any sort of pattern there. Bloom the tackler, 10 metres away. Ball up for Neil Harmon. And Bloom did just enough. Hasty to Webster. Halifax may be stretched here, but Webster drops the inside ball. Halifax defence move across. Still with work to do though. Webster comes back into the middle and is the cut-out man as the long ball goes out wide. Last tackle. Good tackle by Bloom. 5 metres out. Can Halifax hold out for one more tackle? Webster will chip over the top. And Webster will totally misjudge the kick and put it touching goal. Halifax will come back to the 20. Greenwood. 10 metres on a diagonal run. James Haley from acting half. And Haley could do with some open ground. Here goes Greenwood again from acting half. Takes the ball over halfway. Halifax have made good metres, but they could do with a lot more. Jason Bolts. Tackled by Beauville. Fisher to Lawford. Lawford gets Birchall back on the inside. Last tackle. Ryan McDonald back on for Halifax to replace Jason Bolts as Lawford once again kicks over the top, but no problem for Steele. And Steele will pass the ball in front of his own post. And Ulkear have made a pretty good return from that kick on the far side of the field. Eparte is tackled by Black and Bloom. On the 20, Neil Harmon off the short ball into the arms of Jamie Bloom. Neil Harmon, of course, 10 games or so in his career at Halifax. A long and distinguished career for the big prop. Rovers are up to the 40. Beauville thought about the pass. Last tackle. Once again, Halifax have kept Ulkear in their own half of the field. Webster will kick. Bounces up nicely for Gibson, but how far will he be able to take the ball back? Rovers defenders up in a line. Lawford out to Spink. Birchall taking the pass. Ladder was a dummy runner. Here comes MacDonald again. Well, that's the way to stop anybody. Andy Ellis round the legs. Fisher to Lawford. Lawford, the kick trying to turn round the defence. And Ford happy to just watch the ball going to touch. Halifax will be looking for a mistake of some sort now by Hull Kingston Rovers. Well, this is about the point last week when Halifax started to turn the game around. And Hull Kingston Rovers last week played London Scholars, who they were leading 78-0 with about 10 minutes ago. And London Scholars managed to rattle up 20 points. So is that an indication of maybe Hull Kingston Rovers being at a team that are not just up to the fitness levels yet and don't go the 80? Beauville clattered on the 30-metre line. Well, there's one thing for sure, Halifax have proven in the last couple of weeks that they do go for 80 minutes, because the last 20 minutes have been their purple patch. It's the last tackle. Webster kick it downfield to Haley, but Haley doesn't have space in front of him. It really is hard work getting through the backs of Ulkear, because there really are some big men as MacDonald drives the ball forward. All the Ulkear bench in unison shouted knock on then, as Bloom gives Birchall a bit of a hospital pass. Corcoran is Wayne Corcoran leaving the field to replaced by Jody Sharif, who's probably been on the smelling salts at half time. It's the last tackle. Ben Black hoists one in the air. Now could there be pressure on the Rovers defence, and wild ball comes up with it and then has the sense to take the inside line. Not the best kick from Ben Black. Once again, Halifax noticeably lacking a kicking game as such this afternoon. It's brought rewards from in previous games. Seems to be something they haven't been able to put together this afternoon. Wayne Corcoran with a nice pack, being strapped to the hamstring as the ball comes loose. And another mistake. Andy Raleigh tries to plead his innocence. Well, I can't see why, because the ball travelled at least 2 yards before he regathered it. Andy Spink comes inside, but Wild Ball not taking the side step. Straight into him. Jody Sharif driving the ball forward over the 40. Beauville taking one in the face for his troubles there. Fisher gives it to Black. Black to Wisner. Wisner tried to get the return to Black, but it was Kenny Party who shouted for the pass there. Got the ball. Halifax give it away on the second tackle. And Halifax have about 17 minutes to rescue this game. Halifax 4, Hull Kingston Rovers 6. And it's difficult to see how they could break down such a rock-solid Rovers defence without some of the penetration that they've had in the last few weeks that the backs have given them with Adcroft and Bunyan and indeed Sharif. Well, Patty's got a big smile on his face because he knows his old man, the referee, there, got the penalty, which will take Rovers further away from their own line with a kick from Webster. Well, certainly turned the penalty count around this half as Mike Dauber 1 to Halifax and 3 to Hull KR so far. Beauville nearly took that one on his chin. Sharif came in and knocked him. Dwayne Barker, former Leeds player, of course. Hasty away from acting half, gets the ball back to Beauville. Beauville drives it forward. MacDonald and Birchall are the first two there. Harmon out to Webster on that far side. Webster kicks over. Could be problems here for Halifax, and there are problems. Rovers, have they got the second try? No, says the referee. Ball knocked on before it was put down. Well, that's a let-off for Halifax because that might have been the game for Hull KR if they'd have scored. Halifax fans trying to get behind their team. But Halifax struggling to break down this Hull KR defence, which fired out of the blocks again then. MacDonald can't shrug off the defenders. Hull KR quickly got the measure of him. Fisher to Birchall. And Hull KR man, they've done it a couple of times of that. There's an Hull KR man staying on the ground and it's forcing Halifax to play the ball to the side of the field that Hull KR are actually numbering the defences up. Larder. Last tackle. Lawford. Jink off the side of the boot, but he'll get nothing for it as Phil Hasty comes away with it for Rovers and shrugs off Black. Sharif gets him at the second attempt with Wisner. Byron Ford running into trouble. Wrapped up by Bloom on the 40. Beauville will take it back up through the forwards, falling easily to the tackle of Birchall. Harmon shaping a pants and then getting it away to Webster after the half tackle had been made. Halifax struggling. A party is put down. Well, he will be eventually by Bloom and Black. Azu back on for Hull KR and straight into the action. Stopped by MacDonald and Birchill, last tackle. Will Webster go for the one-pointer? He is doing. Well, he ain't going to get nothing for that as it drifts wider to the right-hand side of the post. Haley trying to find a way through. Fisher to Birchill. Birchill running the ball up to the 40-metre line. To Elangi back down. Well, Halifax have made the mistake again. Referee relying on his touch judges for the decision. Manson on that far side, running the Halifax defence across and following him far too long before they made the tackle. And Rovers will be perhaps going towards the post now for the one-pointer again, as Malachi Azu gets back to his feet and gets Rovers to within 10 metres, well within the one-point range, but they come to the left-hand side. Halifax muscling up in defence on Blanchard, and Rovers only 3 metres away, and if they score now that'll be curtains for Halifax. Webster, and it is Webster the danger man. He's hardly done anything all the game, but he's popped up at the right time, and that looks like it will seal the match for Halifax. Ulkear's second try, James Webster. Halifax hanging off, waiting for him to pass the ball as he has done so often throughout this game, but this time he held on. And there was a gaping hole for the Australian standoff to sneak through and increase the score. Halifax 4, Hull Kingston Rovers 10. So wild ball to put the game possibly out of Halifax's reach at 10 points to 4. Trying a goal is sufficient. Anthony Farrell's half-time talk this week hasn't been, but he has been without his 2 first-choice centres. And wild ball's missed the kick, so maybe still up for Halifax in the 11 or 12 minutes that remain. But they're going to have to break down a very solid Hull Kingston Rovers defence. Anthony Farrell handing out his instructions to Ben Black. No sign of Tuilagi yet this second half. As Lawford lofts the high, long kick. And Azu will try and bring it back for Ulkear. Halifax make the tackle 15 metres out from the line. Well, the one thing Halifax really don't need to do here is give away another easy penalty. As Raleigh breaks through, this is could be the end for Halifax as the ball is inside. That's a forward pass. It's got to be. Referee had a close look, but he has given a forward pass. But it took an awful long time to look at it. Halifax defence split down that far side by Paul Manson. Spink trying to drive the ball away. Jody Sharif clattered to the ground. Birchill brushes away Webster, gives it to Bloom. Bloom gives it inside to Fisher, but the ball goes loose again. The pass was dipping away from Fisher as it went. And Anthony Farrell beside himself because I think he knows that that's the game, especially with the Hull KR. They were looking a little bit tired, but that try by Webster's given them that extra bit of momentum. And I'm sure now they'll be looking for the drop goal anyway. They'll be driving it into the post, so they'll have to keep a close eye. Well, Webster's moved out to the far side, and he's taking players with him. Halifax don't look as though they are in defence. Now they have done. Webster's still out on that far side. Turn back inside, back to Manson for the one-pointer, and Wisner's obstructed. Halifax have held off, and Wisner has gifted Halifax the possession. Well, that must be the craziest decision by Hull Kingston Rovers today. I don't know what Manson actually expected to do. It went backwards, said the referee. Greenwood picks it up, but the defence is there for Hull KR. Birchill will run it up for Halifax. Wayne Corcoran ready to come back on. No sign of Tuilangi in this second half as Greenwood brings the ball back inside. Black will go for, well, I thought it was a 40-20, but it's a kick to put Byron Ford back, and James Ailey slows him down. As I go at the second attempt, Ailey and Corcoran drag Byron Ford to the touchline and take him within inches, but just can't take him that over that white line. Partey on the 40. Time running out for Halifax with 6 minutes to go. Trailing 10 points to 4. Not a result that I wanted to see after the encouraging start in the first 7 games. But Hull KR have been very workmanlike in defence and just respected the possession a little bit more than Halifax have. Halifax with far too many errors. And also lacking the pace to break this Hull KR defence. Gibson will have to bring it back from behind his own line. And the bounce favours Webster. The defenders are there for Rovers. James Ailey up the middle, but they managed to get hands on him and bring him down. Ailey probably the only man with the speed to beat this Rovers defence. Wisner close to the touchline but not over it. Larder gives the ball to Fisher, but Rovers pinned for the offside. Ben Black wanted the quick tap, but the referee's not going to let him, so Lawford, it'll be up to Lawford to try and make the easy yards down that far touchline. Birchill will come off to be replaced by Jason Bolts. And Halifax are within 10. Can they for once keep hold of the ball for 6 near the Rovers line? They've been there so many times. Wisner will have to go on his own. They've been there so many times before and failed to hold the possession. Well, they only need one opportunity, and Larder plundering his way towards the line. Has he got the ball down? Well, he has, but he's still just inches away from that line. Fisher to Lawford. Lawford back to Ben Black. Black will look for options. He's running round in circles. Where is Ben Black going? Shows the ball, gets it away to Ailey. Ailey work to do, and James Ailey has got the ball down in the corner. Finally, Ben Black has worked his magic. It's not enough to win the game, and it's going to be a special kick from Jamie Bloom that ties it level. Well, Ben Black took the ball, didn't seem to know where he was going. I'll have a go this way, come back the other way. Hull KR defence hung off him, and there was no defence left by the time he got the pass away to Ailey. And Ailey once again left with work to do, but seems to somehow squeeze his body through the tacklers and gets it down for another 4-pointer. It's his 10th of the season. Ricky Sharif taking all the plaudits with 11. But Ailey's managed to register his 10th try of the season. And if Bloom gets this, there's going to be some miserable faces on that Hull KR bench. Well, the Rovers supporters try to put him off. A lot of kicks in his career as Bloom. This could be one of the most important, and Bloom has found the target. It's 10 points all, and Halifax have salvaged, or have they salvaged a point with 3 or 4 minutes to go. It's Halifax 10, Hull Kingston Rovers 10. And not only did the Halifax supporters go mad then, so did the rest of the players and the coaching staff on the bench beneath the gantry. Well, there's still best part of 5 minutes to go. I've just been informed. And it's certainly going to be an interesting 5 minutes as Black gives it inside to Wayne Corcoran. Corcoran steps through 2. MacDonald off the short ball. How fresh are his legs as he brushes away 3 attempted tackles and brought down by the 4th. He's got injured for his trouble. I actually know what the problem is.
This afternoon's Man of the Match, sponsored by the Halifax LFC, Fast Players Association, Gus Halifax number 11, Dave Larder.
Well, MacDonald gets the attention. MacDonald is obviously going to play a further part in this game. And I'm not sure whether it's the arm again or not that's causing problems, but Lawford has lost possession. And this may be another chance for Hull Kingston Rovers in the minutes that remain.
2,474. Halifax substitution supported by Morgan Search UK, replacing number 10. Sorry, replacing number 16, Ryan McDonald, number 8, Chris Birchall.
Well, have Hull KR got anything left in attack? Have Halifax got enough left in the tank in defence? Well, it could come down to a 1 point ball game again as Webster will be looking. Well, they'll be watching Webster. It was Manson last time and took the wrong option. Webster gets it away to Andy Raleigh. Andy Raleigh able to pump the legs a few more metres once again. And this would be a signal for Halifax. Azu has put them right under the post, and Webster's in the position. He's already taken that position up. Well, they've moved it out wide. Phil Hasty goes on his own. Well, the inside ball is going to come. It's the last tackle. Somebody is going to have to chase down Webster. They've got 3 men in front of him, and Webster will get the kick away. And Webster's got the 1 pointer. Fisher threw himself at Webster. Well, it was going to come. It had to come. Hull KR not taking any chances this time, and Webster snatched the game back away from Halifax. Lawford goes for the short one this time. How good is the chase? The ball's palmed back. How good is the pickup? Is there a knock on? No. But Halifax will be clinging on to hope. There's less than 3 minutes to go. Azu. They'll be clinging on to hope that Hull KR will make a mistake and they may get 6 more. But Rovers will be happy to play out the 5 and hoof the ball down the middle of the field. Fletcher. And Hull KR will be hoping Halifax slow the play down now. Just outside the 20. Here comes Webster. He'll hoof it downfield again. And he may even find the touchline. Greenwood goes back to pick it up for Halifax, but the chasers are there. Halifax may have 6 more tackles. Well, they need to score. There's no question about that. Gibson out to Ben Black. Black gets it away to Bloom. Bloom has to come back inside. Steps out of 1 tackle. Still going is Bloom. Now he's back into heavy traffic. Halifax still in their own half. Ben Black gets it away to Lawford. Lawford out to Halifax's man of the match, Larder. Andy Spink takes it up to the Hull KR 40. Lawford. Long ball out to Black. Long ball out to Bloom. Bloom off the boot because he couldn't get it. Where's it going to bounce? It's not going to bounce for Bloom. Byron Ford will pick it up, and if he gets away there could be problems. Corcoran wrestling with Ford for possession. Ford manages to keep hold of it. And now there's Whaley taking a swing, Bloom taking a swing. And the man put down eventually, Bloom trying to wrestle the ball. Hull KR just happy to eat the seconds up on the clock as Ellis goes from acting half. That's all Hull KR need to do, because the hooter's going to blow, but there's a knock on. And the scrum will form for the last kick of the game, well, the last scrum of the game. So the only way that Halifax will win this is a kick in the air. And Black decides to run it spink with a play. They needed a kick, it didn't come. It's going to have to come soon if they're going to kick it. Back to Larder. Larder's not going to be the man that does. And that is a hooter. And Hull KR, after losing here 8 days ago, have come back and really sickened of Adam Farrell's side with a victory that's really been built on defence. Although Halifax have given away far too much possession, Hull KR, on reflection, probably deserved to win the game. Halifax struggling without the likes of Bunny and Adcroft in the back, struggling to break down. But the Rovers' defence has stuck at the task all afternoon and only been breached once by Ben Black when he dazzled the defence. But the game belonging to Hull KR. Ben Fisher's late charge to try and stop Webster's drop goal failed. And the final score at the Shades, Halifax 10, Hull Kingston Rovers 11. And Halifax have Castleford and Whitehaven in the next 2 weeks. And that's a bad start to the season.